Hello everyone, welcome back to Carter Plays. It's Carter here with another Disney Dreamlight Valley decorating video. I am very excited to introduce my decoration for Forest of Valor. This is the second voted location that you guys wanted to see decorated, and oh my gosh, it is my favorite. Now I realize I've only decorated 2 biomes, but I am so proud of this one. Like I really am. I am so proud of this one. Okay, so let's kind of talk about the Forest of Valor structurally and just overall as a biome. So, of course, you know, the first thing I do with every biome, I have to go through, do all like the mining, get all of the stones and the stumps and the flowers and the twigs, all the things. I have to forage, I have to take everything that was once there off, and I have to look at it as a blank canvas. Now, the Forest of Valor is actually interesting than the first biome I decorated was the Forgotten Lands. The Forgotten Lands is one chunk of land, whereas Forest of Valor is split between what's on one side of the river versus what's on the other side. So it's a little bit trickier to play around with as far as where to place things. As far as what I wanted to obtain or what kind of like feel or vibe I was going for, I wanted Forest of Valor to feel like one of those enchanted forests that you would see in a Disney animated film from the classic. So I really leaned into the foliage here. Now I know I said that for the Forgotten Lands, but I really feel like I went all out in the foliage for Forest of Valor. I wanted to make sure that when you walked through this area that it truly felt like an actual forest. So I'm just kind of trying to figure out what buildings will make sense here. I know that I love the idea of putting castles down, really regal buildings, because a lot of the storybooks and animated films from the earlier Disney movies and films, that's always how it is, right? You always feel like you see a castle in this really thick brushed forest right where some mountains are, especially Beauty and the Beast. So I actually ended up putting Beauty and the Beast closer to where like Elsa's cave is, because they do get snow where that castle's at, and it's supposed to be kind of on this rocky hill. So I wanted it to kind of blend in with the rest of the rocks that are in the background of that area. So I did end up putting Beauty and the Beast there. I also had this pinkish heart castle that I thought worked really well there as well. I ended up putting in that area as well just to fill it in. I also wanted to experiment. I thought maybe I would put Merlin's castle library thing over here, but I ended up not liking it. If you look at the natural stone and foliage that does come on Merlin's library, it doesn't really fit Forest of Valor. It looks like it's more Peaceful Meadow or Dazzle Beach. So I guess when we get towards there, maybe I'll experiment looking in that area. So I ended up putting these pathways. I knew when I started that I was like, okay, I know I'm going to want to put some dirt, straw looking pathways because it's a forest. I ended up putting them down, and you'll see them. I'll change this here in a minute, but I ended up taking like chunks out of it, and I really liked that because it makes it look a little bit more forest, like natural forest, where grass is overgrowing in some areas. Like it's not this beautifully manicured path that's just put down. I don't like how it looks from the aerial view because it's like these big square patches are just missing. But when you actually walk down the pathways, it really does look like grass is just overgrowing it. So it looks a lot better. And you'll see that kind of towards the end when we do the whole walkthrough of everything. So that's what I'm doing right now with the pathways, is just kind of experimenting there. But let's talk about the trees. Let's talk about the nature aspect of putting things down. So let me tell you how absolutely difficult of a time I was having, because I wanted, oh my gosh, some things I wanted to be manicured, some things I wanted to look like this is just like natural forest stuff that's just growing. And it was so hard because you want to place it to make it look like random trees are growing. But, towards the Beauty and the Beast castle, I want the foliage to look a little bit more like a garden, like it's manicured how it is in the movie. So I'm experimenting with these hedges here, and I had such a hard time with these hedges. Oh my gosh, I could not decide what would be the best length and what to do. I thought about putting this gazebo there. I really wanted to use the gazebo, but it just didn't work out there. So again, playing around with those hedges a lot, I ended up moving the castle a little bit further down, which I ended up appreciating more because it gave me more room to experiment with the castle. But what I really enjoyed and what I ended up doing was I ended up turning this entire right side to the castle into this really amazing courtyard area, which I thought made sense because it's a castle, because of all the things that are in the movie. But I put my own little twist to it. So I ended up putting down this really nice stone pathway. I actually ended up changing my whole mind about the Beauty and the Beast castle. At first, I put down that dirt pathway. Once I placed the courtyard and saw how awesome it looked, like I was like, yes, that's exactly what it should look like. I changed my mind and I totally restructured how the pathway should look as well. At first I had the dirt pathway. I changed it to be a brick pathway because I was like, oh, it's the castle. It needs to be a little bit like fancier. It can't have the same pathway as everywhere else here in the woodsy wilderness area. So I ended up taking that whole pathway out and putting down the brick pathway, which I was like, oh yes, that's what it was missing. That's what it needed. It looks 10 times better. It looks more castle-y. So here's where I'm actually putting for the courtyard area. And it just kind of came together. Once I put that block of brick pathway down, I was like, yes, that's exactly what I needed. Oh yeah, I ended up stealing all the brick pathway that I had from the other area because I needed it. But yeah, so anyways, so I ended up making this courtyard area. I didn't know what I was going to use it for at first, but then it hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, I've been to Walt Disney World. I've been to the Be Our Guest restaurant, which is actually inside of Beauty and Beast Castle. But this is the game and we can be creative and twist things around a little bit for fun. So I ended up making the courtyard into a restaurant, an outdoor restaurant. And I'm so excited about it because I love how it turned out. I ended up making it into the Be Our Guest restaurant. And I think I put the tables and the lights down here and a little bit later in this video, but we'll talk about it. But I was just so excited once that comes together because I was like, yes, this is exactly what I envisioned. Is something that was very castle-y and very regal. So I just imagine that this is where Beauty and the Beast, they bring over other villagers in the valley and they're like, oh yeah, come over to our castle, you know, and come be our guest, you know. Try the gray stuff, it's delicious, like the whole 9 yards. So it's really lovely. I love the idea that they have their own restaurant. I experimented putting some different light structures here, which was really difficult because I was wanting to. We need more outdoor lighting that looks not like a street lantern per se. But I ended up using. What were those lights? Oh yeah, the candle lights. Yes. So the candle lights that look more like they belong in a castle. They look like candlesticks. Those were actually the lights that I used in the Be Our Guest courtyard restaurant. And I love that way more because it gives like a low lighting type of situation. I actually went to Scrooge McDuck's store to find the tables for that area and the chairs. And I ended up going with the white tablecloth tables, the round ones, and getting some gold accented purple chairs because I thought, again, it looks so castle-y. So I ended up experimenting, putting those down in the courtyard area, trying to figure out the layout here of how many tables I wanted. And like I said, I just love how this area turned out. It really came together in ways that I just, I also thought about putting like some smaller tables to the side and having like smaller stools, but I did not like how that looked because I thought that the rest of the area looked I was making it too like daytime casual cafe and I needed it to be more like nighttime restaurant fancy. So yeah, I ended up taking the stools out, putting the chairs down. Loved that. I think once I put the lights down, that's when I was like, yes, that's what I want. Went back to Scrooge and bought those and was like, yes, that's complete. So if you look, like, watch when you put those down, look how it looks. Look at that. I mean, come on, that is so stinking fancy. I want to go to the Be Our Guest restaurant like right now. Anyways, I also wanted to plant some red flowers down there, but I knew that I needed some more, so I took them back up and waited until I was able to pick some more red flowers. Now over here in this residential area, I imagine this to be like a castle cottage that can be like rented out for a weekend, almost kind of like a Airbnb. If the villagers wanted to get away, they can go by for the weekend and stay in the pink castle. But I ended up putting this white picket fence and these bushes around it, which I really love. I thought it made it look a little bit more cozier, and that's kind of what I was going for. I needed a cozier look because I needed it to be something that was very inviting and friendly. I added a garden in the front yard, and I try and find a place where I can add a garden in every biome because gardening makes so much money. And so I also like the aesthetic of having a garden. So I ended up planting some bell peppers there. I thought it was a nice pop of color next to all this other color. And also I don't know if I did right here oh yeah, I added the bike. Oh, that bike is my favorite bike. I can tell that's going to be a reoccurring decoration I use in a lot of areas. I was trying to figure out what to put on this other side. I don't think I put it here yet, but I do end up putting some of the lemon trees that naturally come into the Forest of Valor's decoration. And yeah, they ended up looking really nice next to because the pink castle is so bold in color that it needs more color around it, so it doesn't look like it's just so big and bold with all this color. Also, if you saw for that split second, I did try and put a piano down over there at the Be Our Guest restaurant. I ended up not liking that piano there, but don't worry, I totally squeezed the piano in another place that I thoroughly enjoyed. So if you see here, now I'm just kind of continuing the area of the forest. I was not sure what to do with the rest of the land. Once I put down Beauty and Beast Castle, and I also put down the Pink Castle, I am not gonna lie, I was a little stumped. Didn't really know what direction I was gonna take the rest of the land, but it ended up turning out exactly. It just was so good. Okay, so I started thinking about this area and I was like, okay, I know I wanted a bit of a foresty area, but what else can I make this? Like a park, maybe? Like a park kind of area. And so I started thinking about Central Park. And I've been to Central Park about 2 or 3 times in my life. And what I love about Central Park is that you'll go through different pathways and like things are more structured, and you'll come across all these vendors and all these places where people are selling stuff. And then all of a sudden you get to like super nature, and it's just like trails and trails and trails of nature. So with that idea in mind, that's kind of how my approach was to the entirety of Forest of Valor. It was, let me make this a very diverse park looking area, one that can completely change from different area to area based on what pathway you're at. So I ended up making, of course, the restaurant and the residential area, also different periods where people may want to sit on a bench and rest, but I also made like a little venue area and a park area that will be the last thing that we make at the very end of the video. So I'm very excited about that. Another thing that was incredibly tricky during creating this biome was actually the pathways. Oh my gosh, the pathways were really stumping me up because it was like, where do I place, what direction am I wanting to take things? What I do, I like I said, okay, I said this in the Forgotten Lands video, but it still is true to like this one as well. I love putting foliage down. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with it. I find it so fun. I'm like, ooh, where does this bush go? Ooh, where would this rock go? I don't know why that is so fun for me, but trying to figure it out is like a puzzle, and I just absolutely love it. And you can definitely tell in this build, I had to craft so much, way more than I did in the Forgotten Lands. I feel like the thing I needed the most here was actually soil. Because my pathways were I had a lot of pathways. I needed a lot of soil. Fortunately, though, this one, finding the soil wasn't as hard as finding iron ore, because I garden so much. So It really wasn't too hard. Oh, this is where I ended up putting all the flowers. Oh, and look at that low lighting candlelight. It is looking so good now that the sun is setting some more. But yeah, no, I definitely needed a lot of soil for my pathways. And so a lot of this is just me figuring out where little small details should go. But yeah, it's coming together. Look at that. I love with the lemon trees. It's looking really good. Oh, and right here where this fishing area is, this is where I decided to put this ginormous L-shaped bench. I love it. I actually put that at both locations of the water that you'll see later on in this build, because I thought it was the perfect area for people that wanted to sit and fish or just sit and admire the waterfall. So do love that area. Did add some trees there as well. So coming up right here to this area where the venue is that I placed, I decided that I wanted to make it almost like a ceremonial place where, I don't know, two people could go. I don't know, maybe they want to renew their vows, or I don't know, maybe there's like a concert, outdoor concert also could happen here. This is the ceremonial place. So I ended up placing that really nice, elegant gazebo. Loved that. And I decided that it needed to be set up with something like a floor base that was a little bit fancier. So wait till you see the floor that goes underneath the gazebo. It turned out looking really good. I think it was the gem and opal one. Oh my gosh, I loved how that looked. But I didn't like how it looked without the border. So later on, I actually end up changing that to the floor with the border, which ends up looking a lot better, instead of it just being kind of like these random tiles that have like this faded no ending. And then I ended up placing all of the seating area right in this chunk of land right here. What I did really appreciate and really love is that I used fairy godmother's like caged lanterns, and they look so good, only because we don't have like string lights in this game. This was the closest I could find, and I love how it encased the seating, and the symmetry of the area just turned out really good, I thought. I ended up going to Scrooge, buying some more of those benches. Here's what I love about those stone benches. I think I'm going to end up using these a lot in a lot of my builds, but if you notice, those stone benches have like sparkles around them because they're enchanted. So every time you put one down, you're going to have this nice like sparkly glowy stuff around them. And I think, of course, I'm going for an enchanted forest. I'm going for this nice ceremonial area for characters to have their, whatever events that they have. And it's just like so Disney like to have all these like magical wisps of going around. But yeah. So anyways, I ended up putting the piano here. Loved it way more. Like way more so than having it at the Be Our Guest restaurant. It's just a nice place where Disney princess wants to sit down and just start playing, and birds start chirping and coming to her. She can, just something. I don't know, just something. So I ended up liking this little corner over here. I thought it was a nice venue area. Thought it worked out really well. Now, let's talk about the well placement. Oh my gosh, putting this well down and trying to figure out where to place the well, especially because I wasn't a huge fan of I love where I placed the well in the Forgotten Lands, as far as I liked how it was kind of tucked away and it had this nice foliage around it and it worked with like the concrete padding that was just permanent there. But I did not like how my well is so far away and it's not central to the land. So every time you go to the Forgotten Lands, you're having to walk a long distance. So I was like, let me make sure that in this build, I put the well in the center of the land. So that's what I ended up doing. I placed my well in the center, and I kind of, the way that I structured the foliage was, I thought, a lot better because it kind of encased the well around, making it be in the center make way more sense. Almost like you're walking in this enchanted forest and you just come across this well, which I thought was also very Disney and made a lot of sense. So anyways, I put it in the center, loved that a lot more. I think this is where I ended up adding just some different ideas of how I wanted things to look. I liked putting those bushes on the sides, thought they made that space look so much more complete. It's so funny to me that you can decorate one day, come back and you're like, what was I thinking? Or like, why didn't I think of this or add this, you know? But it is amazing what a fresh pair of eyes will do, you know, giving yourself a chance to break, rest, and come back. You totally come back with a whole new sense of ideas. So, yeah. So anyways, there's where the well's going to go. I started placing all of the foliage down, all the trees, again, making it feel so foresty. Wait till you see when we get out of this. And like when I start walking around, it looks so much like the woods. Like it looks like what the woods would look like. I also put tons of bushes and ferns and stumps just everywhere because I want it to look like it's a place that's overgrown, that is where nature is at. So I also ended up adding a lot of little tiny side paths off in the middle of the woods, which I thought was really good because, again, like a park, like the woods, like the forest, you're going to have these little off pathways that are just kind of tucked away in the middle of trees because of people that go off the trails, right? So I love how that ended up looking. This is where I started making the well connect with all the other pathways. And just really leaning into all of the placements of details. It's very, very detail heavy, this build was. So once I get the well on, I finish making the pathways everywhere else, and it's looking a lot more complete. But there's still one more section that I wasn't sure exactly where I was going to go with. But when I started placing because like I hadn't figured out where Goofy's stall was going to go. I didn't figure that out. So I ended up placing Goofy's stall. I just kind of like tucked it away over there by that area. And when I did that, I realized I was like, oh, I kind of really like the stalls being together, almost like they're vendors or like they are, you know, food stands. So that's where I had the idea of, let me make this like the Central Park pathway, you know, where people come and they walk down the pathway where there's a lot of benches. There's a lot of more manicured nature, like trees are a lot more straight and purposely planted, and there's more light. So I loved that. I ended up making some really great stuff over there, and just really just appreciating the area so much more. I think I was stressed out because I wasn't sure how that was going to turn out. But once we started putting the stalls down and we started putting down, making it look more like a park, I was like, oh, this makes so much more sense. Now, I will just kind of disclaimer, I did skip a little bit of that decorating area, that part of decorating that area, mostly because I did need some iron ore for fencing, and I didn't want to just put a lot of video footage of, or recording footage of me just hunting down iron ore for the fencing. So if you notice just the portions that are available, you'll see that I'm putting down a stage area for an outdoor concert, a lot of seating, and I ended up making a kids area to the side as well. But we're about to come up here on the slowed down video where we can kind of break down the overall look, and I'm very excited to show you how it turned out. So let's take a look at the whole entire Forest of Valor. So as soon as walking up, I love just what you can see and how it looks. You can see that this is a very woodsy area, and you can't even see through the trees. And I actually do like that, because you have to walk through, you have to explore and see what it looks like to see what is actually there. And I love that. So I do have some lanterns here and there throughout the park pathways, but here's how the venue area turned out being. I love how it turned out. It's very symmetrical. That's actually where I ended up putting the orb, was in the back of the gazebo, because I honestly had no idea where else to place it. But yeah, sitting down and looking at it, and look how much better the floor looks with the border there. I don't think I had that in this video, but it looks a lot more put together. Yeah, and I just love it. I just think that that would be a great place for characters to go and have a ceremony or any kind of event, and they can all join. There's plenty of seating for the entire village if needed, so that's really exciting. Also put some random patch of flowers back there, some rocks. Love how that looks. Oh, and there's our well. Also like how the stumps actually just like fit the vibe. So all these stumps kind of keep popping up everywhere, but it's totally cool. It matches, it looks good. It just adds to the forest. So on to our Be Our Guest restaurant and our residential Airbnb. You have the pink castle over here with the lemon trees and the nice yellow bike and flower bushes, and the wonderful and colorful bell pepper garden. I think it looks so good. Matches the aesthetic of the castle so well. And really loving and leaning into the Be Our Guest restaurant. One of my favorite portions of this area. Look how fancy it looks with the lighting. I think it just turned, the lighting is like, it was like the bow on the gift for me. It just really made it come together. I like the red flowers also on the side. Just a nice eating area, you know? And even in the castle, you can see all those windows. I think that's where the library is supposed to be. The library looks out into the restaurant. There's Woody playing. Here comes Andy. I think we had already talked about having that seating there for the fishing area. You can still use that stone kind of bridge area to get over to the other side, but I don't really have it super wide open for use. So this is the other bench area that I put close to where the fishing scene is, just in case anyone wants to sit there, fish, enjoy the water. But this is the park that I am so incredibly proud of. So coming up here close to the park, you'll see we have this nice, beautiful Mickey Mouse awning. This is the outdoor concert area with the low lighting where people can sit, enjoy the concert. I did add these street lanterns going down the center, which add, of course, a nice touch of light at night. And I love all the like vendor areas where you can just kind of stop, shop a little bit. It makes so much sense. And I had to add a nice little boardwalk walking path area where you can enjoy the nature, the flowers, look off to the scenery. So that's kind of the purpose behind that. But let me show you the kids area, because the kids area is my favorite. So look at how absolutely fun it looks with this nice colorful fountain and all the seating and the ice cream, the snow cone, the dessert stands. You can play checkers here while you are hanging out with your family, or look at this wonderful balloon ride. So Up, just how like an Up, he sells these balloons at the park. Now we give balloon rides. We give hot air balloon rides. Yeah, so this is the entirety of the Forest of Valor. We're going to do like the aerial shots now, but I love how it came together. I think the sectioning makes sense. I love how there's a park area, there's the forest and the event venue space, there's an outdoor concert space, there's a restaurant, there's a residential area where you can like go and chill. I just love it. I think it is so far my favorite biome out of the two that I've decorated. I don't know, maybe this will be my favorite overall. I think I'm gonna really enjoy doing the beach. I think I've been looking forward to that. But yeah, thank you guys for joining another build, another Disney Dreamlight decoration and build. If you are interested in more videos like this, let me know. I would love to know your thoughts on this build, and also to see your builds. DM me all your builds. I love to see this kind of stuff. And I'll post in the comments what our next build will be. But like I said, thank you again for joining, and I will catch you for the video or stream sometime soon. You guys have a great rest of your day.